Hola, hola, and welcome to State of the Arts DMV at BlackRock Center for the Arts, where we dive into the stories behind the artists, the magic, and the moments that light up our lives. I'm your host, Orietta, and today we're unwrapping a special holiday treat just for you. We're sitting down with TULA and Regina to talk about the inspiration behind their wild holiday extravaganza and what it truly means to slay the season. I thought we could start with an icebreaker. We kind of know each other, we kind of don't. We've been in the same space, which is BlackRock Center for the Arts.
Yes.
And so I thought we could talk about our makeup, our clothing, our choices for our styles today. So, Tula, you're dressed down today.
Yes.
Well, I
Yes.
figured it was a podcast, so I didn't want to be too ostentatious. Now, this is what I call my casual attire or travel clothing. So, and I had to work until almost 4 o'clock, so I had to make sure we got together fairly quickly today. So I had everything laid out because, as Regina knows very well, after doing this for a long time, if you know you have time limits, you have to make sure that you're really well organized so you can just basically just jump into things. So, and I figured I'd wear something that has a little holiday color to it since we are going to, getting into holiday season, and something I can sit comfortable with in these chairs that we have because most of my clothes are too tight to sit in.
You look like rose petals. Amazing, amazing, gorgeous, gorgeous.
This is actually turning into be my interview dress for some reason. I don't know why I chose to put
Love
this
it.
on. It's what I used for the last interview I did. And I also used this dress when I did a promo for the BlackRock for one of our shows. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is my interview dress. So, but it's a simple dress that I had a personal friend of mine put together for me. And then, of course, I went back and embellished it with stones and things like that. And that seems to be my thing is I like to buy off the rack, which I get a lot of critiques for. But I go and I stone it up to make it look show ready. So I don't know why people have a problem with that. But anyway. But yeah, this is just nice little short cocktail kind of tank toppy dress that I like to wear, and this is the style that I like. So,
Can you show us your jewelry, please? Like,
this jewel.
wow.
Look,
Oh.
Tula even downgraded on her jewelry too.
You're
I
like,
made
Yes.
these earrings, and I made
beautiful.
well, I bought a stone. This actually came on a necklace, and I put it on a ring, and this one I put together and made. And then this was a ring that I stoned, and then this I bought.
I love how you're like, this jewelry.
These little old things. Oh, child.
I love jewelry. I love jewelry
Oh,
so
we do
much.
too. We do
It's
Yes, we
the
too.
do.
best. It's totally the best. I'm so glad we're all dressed for the holiday season. You all have a show coming up at BlackRock Center for the Arts.
It's going to be a somewhat holiday themed show, but not a complete Christmas show. And we have an amazing cast. Um, and there's going to be a little bit of comedy. There's going to be two amazing live singers, which I'm really looking forward to. And then we're going to have, some dancing and jumping and splitting. Not Regina or I, but it's going to be a really, really cool, nice mix of people, nice mix of performances in the Black Box Theater. So it's going to be a really, really, really good time.
You're the comedy.
Regina is known as the queen of comedy in the DMV. So she does comedy amazingly well. And people often do not understand comedy is much more difficult to do than drama.
There is so much that goes in to drag and performances and each number from head to toe. Talk a little bit about the process for getting ready.
For me, it's like a 2 to 3 hour process because it takes me an hour and a half to get fully in drag because I get here ready here at my home and then I go to the venue. I show up dressed, ready to go. A lot of times, some things will happen last minute or they want to bump you up, or I like to just show up ready to go. And do my thing.
For me, it's, of course, and I think it's probably for many, many performers, first when you have a show booking, you try to figure out where the show is, what kind of show are we doing? Because there's a difference between doing a brunch in a restaurant or a show on a stage, like the BlackRock, for example, because certain outfits don't work necessarily maybe in a brunch setting. I have dresses. If I wear them in a restaurant, I will take chair and people and everything with me because I like wearing. The reasons why I love being on a big stage, I like to fill it with costumes. So I find, and another issue that some of us have, when I do think of numbers I want to do, I have certain things where I have costumes that are specific for certain numbers, and then I do certain numbers where it depends where I am, what I'm going to wear. But I also have to try them on to make sure that I can actually wear them, because not everything is stretch in my closet, and some things take 6 people to get me in. So I have to be very cautious, when I do that. So I plan, that week usually, or sometimes even depending when I know we have a show, I lay everything out, just like Regina said, all the jewelry that goes with everything, the hair, shoes, accessories, boas, wraps, coats, whatever. Everything gets packed, labeled, basically, so I know exactly where everything is. And it's the same thing. I get ready fairly quickly. It takes me usually a little bit less than an hour from, shaving, showering, and doing makeup. I like to have more time, but I can do it in less time. And then, just like Regina said, it's the extra time, the travel time you have to consider. This area traffic is awful most places. Then some
So is
shows
parking.
or there's no parking in the city half the time. So you have to always
except for
add this.
BlackRock.
BlackRock
There's
has
plenty of
everything.
parking
And they have
at
everything.
BlackRock.
I
Free
also
parking
always
at BlackRock.
I always come completely dressed as well. I like getting ready at home. It's just I have my setup at home. It's my time. It's more comfortable. I also, when I do a show, like to be ready and talk to the audience, meet my guests before the show starts. It's something I've always enjoyed doing, to get a connection. Sometimes also you get a good feel of the room when you do that. And people also really enjoy it.
Anytime you walk through the grand lobby, you just light up the whole place. And you're turning heads, and everybody's so excited to see you, and everybody wants to talk to you. And so I love that you do that. And I'm not sure if that's something that performers and artists typically do in performing arts settings, but I can say as a patron, I really love and appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I don't. I sometimes, because with my kids, especially, and anybody that I mentor, I tell them that this is something you need to do, even if it's after the show. Like, even after the show, we still go out into the audience and we greet people. We would to let them know we appreciate them coming out. I want the audience to get more than they bargained for their dollar tip that they gave me. I want to show them that I appreciate that they took the time not only to come, but that they did tip me, and that they showed up and they had a good. I want to make sure they had a good time when we are out there talking to the audience, either before or even after the show. I do find that helps. And then it also makes us more memorable too, because then when they come back, they're like, oh yeah, remember when she came to the table and she told us, we took pictures, and then they're usually like, oh, who else was on the show? I don't know. I didn't talk to them. So yes, I've had that experience, and I always teach my kids that too. I'm like, when the show is over, the first thing you do not pack. You go out and you greet these people, and you at least walk by each table and say, did you have a good time? Please come back and see us again. And then you move on to the next table until you've reached everybody in the audience, because I know too, personally, I know I would appreciate that. So,
I think for me, from my experience, I've traveled extensively. And I go out in drag a lot. I enjoy doing drag. I have to do drag even if I'm not in a show or performing. And it is amazing how many people I have met over the years, and how many of them ended up following me on social media. Or if I see them again, they're like, oh my God, like I used to go pre-pandemic, I used to go to New York about 3-4 times a year. It is really interesting when security guards at bars remember you, even though you don't live there, or bartenders remember your cocktails. Now, I don't know if that's because I drink a lot or is it because I stand out. But I always look at us like people look at celebrities, right? We are in our own way a celebrity in our own little universe, and people love attention, and they love to take photos with you and be talked to. It makes them feel special. And I think as a drag performer, that's very important to me because it creates memories. The shows become a blur, because you see 5, 6 performers, you maybe remember little bits and pieces, but you will remember a person speaking to you directly and hugging you or shaking your hand or saying thank you for being there. And when I have gone to events and I've met performers or celebrities, you get like a little kid at Christmas time. It's exciting. And the last event we did, I was walking around and I was watching the performers that were in our show interacting with people, and I see people's faces light up. And I'm standing there like an old mother with her children going, oh my God, this is so exciting. This is wonderful. Because that's what we want. We want people to be happy and enjoy what they have seen and
Yes.
walk away with a happy memory. Because in life, that's all we have, right? At the end of the day, what we have are our happy memories.
Yeah, it's crazy when somebody comes up like I do this bingo, and I have this group of teachers that are in Washington State, and they always make it a plan to whenever they come to the teacher convention in the DC area that they have to come to see my bingo. And I'm just like, oh wow, this is just amazing. I mean, first of all, I respect what they do, and then for them to make it a point that it's like, oh no, we make sure we work this in our schedule no matter what, that we have to go see Regina. So I'm just like, wow.
That's awesome.
Yes.
You are both a national treasure.
Oh, thank you.
I'd love to know how each of you first got into drag and what inspired you to step into this fabulous world of artistry. Who wants to go
Go ahead,
first?
Tula, you first. Tula goes first.
Me again. So, well, this is a very interesting and different thing, I think, for many people. I essentially started doing drag in Catholic kindergarten. We had very progressive nuns, and we did a lot of dress up and make believe, and we had, various carnival events. And so I started then. The first person that ever put me in drag was my grandmother, and turned me into Little Red Riding Hood for a carnival parade. I
And
made
my
the whole
mother did
outfit.
me as Miss Aluminum Foil for Halloween once.
Oh my God! See, so
Yes.
my grandmother and my mother, and I guess in Regina's case, it's just started all this. It's always the mother's fault, isn't that the American way? So I started really doing this early on. Needless to say, obviously not in any level like I do today. And then I kind of kept doing it. And I worked on cruise ships. I did some performances there for the cruise shows. And then when I moved to DC, I joined an organization that was called the Academy Awards of Washington, D.C., and there was a drag organization founded in the 60s when it was illegal to do drag. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, because we used to do drag during the season from September to June, almost every Sunday afternoon. And it was basically a whole bunch of grown men, playing dress up and make believe. And it was wonderful, And so that's how my drag started, was just because I really enjoyed dressing up and being glamorous.
And for me, it was a case of I didn't necessarily want to do drag. I was just jealous of females because I was very fashion conscious, and women could get away with anything. They could wear pants, they could wear a skirt, they could wear a shirt, they could wear a blouse, they could wear a dress, they could wear, I was like, they had everything, every option to them. Whereas with, the boys, oh no, it's strictly pants, shirt, tie. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. So I was kind of jealous of the fashion. And then as I got into high school and I started to find out that there were other people, not just me, who was in the closet, we started hanging out, and then they would take me to the clubs. And the one club I went to, oh God, eons ago, they had an amateur contest. So I convinced myself, okay, I'm going to enter this amateur contest, because we would stand off the side of the stage while the entertainers were performing and act like backups, and we would be singing the songs with them and doing little dances and stuff. And so I decided to enter the contest. So I took 2 months away from the bar, actually, to prepare for this, because I was going to do this right. And I showed up and they had actually canceled the contest that night. So I was like, oh no. So, but the person who was in charge, Sparkle Mahara, she was like, I've seen you off the side of the stage. You know what? How many numbers do you have? And I was like, she goes, if you can come up with 3, you're in the show. And I was like, because she threw me in the show at the end of the night, I was like, oh my God, this was so much fun. And I said, I'll see you next month for the contest. She said, girl, I'll see you next week. You're hired. And I was like,
wow.
so, and then just
That's
from
awesome.
there, like I have that typical stars born overnight story. She started taking me to all the different clubs in the DC area, and I and then I also joined the academy, and I thought that was a wonderful organization, because it helped me to do a lot more networking that I wasn't doing. And it also, my mom joined the group with us, and she was entertaining with us as well on stage. And she was just an active member, just like me and Tula were. And so it's just been an interesting ride, So that's a whole nother podcast right there, girl.
Well, you're already welcomed back. So, so I don't want to assume that you both were performers before, but I'm wondering if you were performers before. Were you actors? Were you singers? Were you songwriters? Were
I
you
sang in my high
involved in the
school choir.
arts?
Yeah,
Okay.
I sang in my high school choir. That was about the max that I did before I started drag.
That's amazing. Okay. Super.
I took a little bit of ballet, and it turned out that I wasn't really fit for it. So thank goodness we found out early, because my turnout wasn't very good. And in those days, my mom was like, no, you need to have a real life. This is not going to work. And I also sang in a high school choir, and I took a little bit of acting lessons, but I realized that, I am not very good in learning lines. And like even with choreography, my attention span is kind of bad. So it would have not worked to become a true full out, legit Broadway or whatever performer, just because, like I said, I probably would have not been able to learn a whole choreography for a show and remember it. It's just, some people just can't do it. So drag then became, I can't sing, but I'm using other people's voices, and I get into that persona, and it's my way of performing and thinking that I'm a performer. But like I said, it's unfortunately, what I really wanted to do, was sing and dance on Broadway. Unfortunately, the talent wasn't there, so now I just fake it for a few minutes
Yeah,
here and there.
I think that's one of the best things about drag, is the fact that you're not scripted, you're not limited, of course you're going to be judged by what you do and what you put on there and how well you do know your words. But on that same note too, though, I find it's like my escape from reality. I get to put this on. I have no bills, no responsibilities, Regina can do whatever she wants to. At the end of the day, though, once the makeup comes off and I'm sitting in the corner of my room crying because I don't know how I'm paying the rent, I just it's this escape that I get to do. And then I get to choose what I put on stage. I get to choose the clothes. I get to choose how I put it out there. And, fortunately, both me and Tula have been able to establish ourselves to a point where people like what we pick and choose to put on stage and put out there. And they offer us the opportunities to continue to do that. So, but I think, yeah, with drag, I've always wanted to do the acting thing too, and the Broadway thing. And my mother used to tell me how jealous she was of me, because by doing the drag, I was kind of out there doing what she always dreamt of doing. So I was just like, so for me, I feel like drag is just like I told the tech crew once. I said, my drag, my drag is my theater, but there is theater.
You're making this happen for yourself, but you're also making it happen for other people. And you bring the joy, you bring the happy, you bring the glitter, and you bring the music and the dancing. I am so excited for this upcoming show you have with us. What can we expect?
Well, one of my numbers, I know I'm doing a little education. So, because I'm doing back to the old schoolhouse rock. I don't know if you've ever seen those, the little commercials they used to do on Saturdays where they would teach
Yes.
the kids. Like I have nouns and what is it, interjections, and so I'm going to be doing a little comedy version of that. We have Orpheus Rose, who is more of a burlesque entertainer, so to speak. Not necessarily taking off the clothes, but he does do the little backflips and the cartwheels and all that stuff. And like 5-inch platforms, he does all this. And so Ashley will be back with us again. And Kim Danita, who is pretty well known in the area for her Patti LaBelle, she will be joining us that night. And then we have the two live singers.
One of the things that Regina and I, when we started working together, were always making sure that we have a really nice variety of entertainers, a little bit of everything to make it exciting for the audience. And to be honestly, to make it exciting for us, because when you have to host a show, you also have to watch these people perform. So it's nice for us to be entertained as well, not just the audience.
You're so honest. I love it, Tula. I love it.
I'm actually holding back
I stand
immensely. I'm really holding
Tula
back.
actually is holding that a lot back.
It's nice to have performers that you work with that you can actually still enjoy, because it is, fun to be out there then and go, oh, this is fun watching them perform, while you're out there hosting and, doing your thing.
Well, it also helps us keep us on our game as well, because I mean, if we see them as being such wonderful entertainers, we want to turn around and make sure we're just as wonderful, if not more.
Better.
So
better.
I was trying to give some of them the benefit of the doubt.
How long have you been working together? How long have you known each other?
That's two different things. Known each other for almost 30 years.
No, I think we've known each other for about 15 years, but we've only started working together recently for maybe 2.
We've known each other much longer, Regina.
Well, yes. Actually, we've known of each other much longer. We've known each other directly for approximately 15 years. But yes, we've known of each other for
how
a
long
long time.
How long were you in the academy?
I don't remember. I think I was in the academy probably, 18 years, 19 years.
I was in the academy 25 years. So that's why, and I've known you before I knew the academy. We've known you. So,
yes.
But we were together in this organization, and, and we were friendly, but, we did our own things. But
yes.
working together.
Had 2 totally different backgrounds.
But we knew each other, and so seen each other out there. And I used to go to Regina's show when she had shows out in Maryland at this cute little country bar. Working together, like really, we started that post-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
To really,
almost
actually,
right after.
To really say, okay, because I had been approached by people and stuff, and I knew I needed to find somebody that's a tech savvy person. And Regina is amazing when it comes to anything music, DJing, also flyers, things that I'm not very good at. So I was like, I'm going to say, you are going to work with me if you like it or not. And here we are. We get along really well. We play together well on the stage, but I can completely depend on her when it comes to actually, collecting music from performers, listening to the mixes, make sure everything is good, because that's all this sort of backstories that a lot of people don't realize. It's not that easy to just put on a show, right? It takes sometimes days or hours of each things to do all this, and then putting lineups together, and then, connecting, and then dealing with the spaces, making sure their sound equipment is working. And that's where Regina is sort of my everything, because she knows how all this stuff works. She also has an amazing equipment of her own, so we can do shows pretty much anywhere as long as there's an electric outlet somewhere in the building.
So all I need is an outlet.
And we kind of sort of play off,
and it will happen.
And we play off each other, and and we have, and we respect each other. We know everybody. It's really just makes it so much fun to work together, even though sometimes there's drama and headaches. We all deal with it, but at the end of the day, we'll put on a hell of a show.
What's it like to perform at BlackRock?
Regina,
Can I
go
tell
first.
you? Can I tell you, every time I step on the stage at BlackRock, I don't know what it is, but I actually have anxiety attacks. I think because when I went there, the first time I went to the BlackRock, well, no, the first time I went to the BlackRock, I was there to promote a show that I was getting ready to do with TULA. And TULA was not able to make it. So she asked me if I could go and promote the show because they wanted us to come out and do that. And I went, and the minute I got on the stage, it was just like, I felt like this is where I've always wanted to be, is on this kind of, like, it was on the main stage and the audience was there to see a production and I'm there to try and promote. And I'm literally like, I don't know why this is happening. Because I was literally having a panic attack and I was like, what is going on? I've performed at the Lincoln Theater for millions of people with not a problem in the world before it was even a building, when it was just a little park thing off the Washington Monument. And I'm like, why is this all of a sudden now? And I've been performing for years. And it's like all of a sudden, it just was, I don't know. It's just the atmosphere was just so there. It was like I felt like I'd finally made it. This is where, this is it. This is why I'm having a panic attack, because I feel like I've finally done it all. And I was fortunate enough to be a one of the production managers last year for The Color Purple. And that was even more of an experience because I never grew up as a theater kid. But I tell you what, working on that production with Kelly and with that cast that they had for The Color Purple, I was just like so impressed that I even told them, I was like, you all have turned me into a theater kid, because I've never really been one of those people. But working with them, and they were such a great crew and everything, that I walked away with such a wonderful experience. That for me is what the BlackRock does for me. I feel like every time I walk in there, it's always a great experience. We had our bingo there, and I felt like that was over the top. And I do bingo everywhere. And when we did the show last year on the main stage, and I got to write it and put it together and everything, I was just like, is this really happening? This is amazing to me. So I probably took away more from it than the audience did. So that's what the BlackRock does for me, is I feel like it gives me that opportunity to truly feel like I am accomplishing what I set out to do when I originally became a drag queen. So, yeah.
Together, they're bringing the house down this holiday season with a show that promises big laughs, jaw-dropping performances, and enough ugly sweaters to make Santa jealous. Catch the next episode tomorrow, and we'll see you Saturday, December 14th. BlackRock Center for the Arts would like to thank Fort Knox Recordings for providing music for this episode. Check them out on Instagram at FortKnox5. Interested in becoming a sponsor of this podcast? Please contact Estrada at blackrockcenter.org. Until then, catch you on the flip side.